I'm AJ Vanek, and welcome back for episode 9 of Dungeon Masters Inc. So welcome back. We're going to talk about 3 very cool things that you can do as a DM when you're playing at the table. First up on the menu is lights. So I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, lights? What about lights? It's like, I use candles, I can set some mood lights. But imagine the looks on your players' faces when you say, Alexa, set the lights to night. And then this happens. Pretty cool, huh? So to get started, it's really a pretty basic setup. I have 2 just dimmable lights that are on the outside, and then I have 2 LED lights that are also dimmable, so they can change their color as well as how much light they put out in the center. And that's really all you need to get started. The big one is just having the 2 that can change color. But the real magic is what happens over here. So this is an Echo Dot. It's one of the Amazon Alexa devices. This is actually what makes the magic happen. By programming a routine and then setting the keywords like Alexa, set the lights to night, it runs the routine of the colors that I've set at the luminosity that I wanted. So basically, how much I want each light on and off. So when I tell her to set the lights to night, what happens is the outside 2 lights drop to about 30%. And then on the middle 2 lights, the changeable color LEDs, I change one to a soft white at about 50%, and I change the other one to blue, running at about 50% as well. So it really just kind of gives the whole look and feel of everything a very nighttime atmosphere. But let me show you what it looks like on the table. Down on the table with the miniatures, this is kind of what it would look like at nighttime. But if I said, Alexa, set the lights to day, you'll see the difference as it changes. Now it comes into daytime. Alexa, set the lights to night. And you'll see the difference change again. Pretty cool. But the fun doesn't have to stop there. Alexa, set the lights to dungeon. You can program any word into it with any change of name. And by doing so, you can give something a totally different look. This is a slight orange and green look. You can pretty much make up any keyword that you want, like Alexa, set the lights to mysterious. And she's going to change the lights to whatever pre-programmed colors and luminosities that you want. For example, I have a mysterious, which is kind of a purple and a blue hue. Kind of covers the whole room with a little bit of dim light on the ends. Or, Alexa, set the lights to dungeon. And then she changes it to kind of a yellow and green combo. Maybe a little more orangey yellow with a green combination to really kind of change up the atmosphere. Let me show you what it looks like on the table. So this is the dungeon ambience down on the table. It's hard to kind of tell the difference at the moment, but if I tell Alexa, set the lights to normal, this brings all the lights back into their normal illumination. Everything just basically white light. You can see the difference. But if I really want to change it, I'll tell Alexa, set the lights to mysterious. Now you're going to get that blue and purple hue that really changes how things look. It can even get more drastic, and you can set these lights up for just about any environment. For example, if I'm running in a cave environment and I want Alexa, set the lights to caves, you'll see that she changes it into more of a green, little light orange hue. It kind of gives me a little bit more of a creepy feel in caves, right? Once again, the difference between that and Alexa, set the lights to normal, you'll see what the normal white light looks like. See how it lightens up like that? It's a big difference. So lights are pretty cool. And I always get, the first time when somebody's playing at the table, some oohs and ahs whenever I say, Alexa, set the lights to tavern. And she puts me in a tavern setting. I kind of get some low light, ambient light, and then it's a little orange and a little bit of yellow to kind of simulate torches or a fireplace. But then when the PCs, leave the tavern late at night or something, and I say, Alexa, set the lights to night. And then she changes the colors into dark with a blue and a soft white, kind of simulate the moon. It's really, really cool. But the next thing that you can add on top of this is also one of my favorites, and that's sound. So there's lots of ways to do sound. You can do any kind of sound that's basically coming out of your PC. You can use a Bluetooth speaker, just some backdrop ambient music. In my game room, I'm actually running a 5-in-1 surround system. Nothing super complicated. You could probably find them pretty cheap these days. And all I'm doing is running an auxiliary cord into my PC. The real magic when doing sound comes from a program that I really, really love. It's called Sirenscape. Now, Sirenscape is a really cool program. You can get it both as an app for your phone as well as on your PC. I'd actually prefer to use mine with my laptop that's a touchscreen. Sirenscape has lots of ways that it can do things. It can do things from stinger sound effects like magic missiles, or the classic fireballs. It can even play a little victory music when your PCs manage to defeat the monsters. But the true power of Sirenscape actually comes from your capability to set up ambient environments. For example, a little travel background music. Pretty cool. So Sirenscape does this in several ways. It does this by having what it calls sound sets. A sound set is basically a group of tracks. And those tracks, by the developers of Sirenscape, are put into like sub-sound sets, for example, Wagon Journey. And just by clicking on the Wagon Journey, several of the tracks kind of take over with their ambient music. It kind of runs in loops. Now, it's not always just music. Some are horses, some are birds. You might even hear mountain wind, which you can individually crank up and down. Anything you want. If I want a little more wagon train, I can crank it up and down. I don't want to get into too much of the nitty-gritty of Sirenscape because you can go on their website and check out a lot of the fine-tuning that they can do. But I'm telling you, this is pretty cool. And you can customize these sound sets to your own liking, which means you can basically take individual tracks out of different sound sets and build your own. And that's where the power really is. So for each module, episode, or play session, I pretty much go into Sirenscape and kind of designated what atmosphere that my players are going to be in. So for example, if they're going through a dungeon, I have a dungeon ambient. I just kind of let this music kind of run in the background. I'll play it at a little bit of a low volume through the surround sound. So it just kind of gives some ambience to what's going on, right? So for example, if they end up going in a forest, it's going to change slightly. Have some crows added in there. Again, this is background ambient music. Where the real fun starts is when the PCs get into a fight. By having all sorts of different battles pulled up and ready to go, I can have battles with orcs. Sirenscape includes the Foley aspects of heavy armor, swords, clashes, hits, grunts, shouts, and even when you get down to it, magic spells. But you can also use the stingers over here on the side. So when one of your players casts a healing spell, you can hear it go off. So when you put it all together, you can have a nice town setting with atmospheric music at night. But then, when your party picks a fight, that's when the real fun begins. And you switch into the battle. So with the lights set to dungeon, and your players come through a secret door, with the ambience nice and low, and then they run into the big boss, you can change it right into the fight with spells that are already pre-programmed. This is the power that Syrinscape gives you to add sound to any gaming session. I gotta tell you, it's pretty cool. Combining lights and combining sound can really set a mood in your game room. Your players are gonna love it. But there's one more thing that we can add to make this even better, and that is smell. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, AJ, not the smells. I'm not talking about those kind of smells. I'm talking about candles. Candles like you can find on like Etsy or little shops like the Crafty Gamer. You light this up when the players go into a dungeon, and this candle's called Dungeon Ruins. Changes things up, especially if you light it when they're not exactly noticing, and then all of a sudden they're kind of like, what changed? You have the music going, the lights are down, and let's say it's in the middle of winter, or they're in some mountains, and you have frosted peaks. Kind of a nice clean smell, a little crisp, but that combined with the music, combined with the lights, now you're really changing things up. But if you really want to get on them, there's another one from Mythology Candles called Cave Troll. And this probably smells like what you would expect it to smell like. Definitely something you don't leave going for a whole long time, but maybe a battle and maybe just after the battle or when they're going into the cave, you can change that up on them. Love candles. I've really started to get into it, especially because they're coming out with the different scents that are starting to help, drive the atmosphere, right? So for example, there's forest wilds, when they're out in the forest or in the open fields. They even have one like Lost Monastery, which I'll use for like a temple or like some temple runes on top of on top of a field or in a forest. They just find this, I light that up when you've stumbled across some ruins. All sorts of different ways to do it. But you also have, don't limit yourself to candles, incense burner, any kind of incense burner where you can just put one of the incense cones in there and just light it up. These are usually tend to be a little more smoky, just in total, but you can get some pretty cool cones, anything from coconut to lavender, even kind of a tangerine, and they make some others that are called Dragon's Breath. And you can find sample packs on Amazon where it just gives you like, 10 different types of cones, and you only get like 10 of each, but that's going to last you quite a while. You also have like the little candle and oil burners that you can get, little candle and oil scents. Just a couple little drops of the oil that go in the dish, light up the little candle. Once again, different types of things that are out there. I like to use that one if I really want a clean smell, because the oil it's usually better with clean smells, like an ocean or something like that. But imagine, the lights, the sound, and then you hit them with the scents. Pretty cool. Players love it. So one other sound thing that I've done is I've actually wired the table into a PA system. And I encourage my players actually to bring their own sounds, whether they find just regular sounds on the internet or if they're running Syrinscape as well. If they want to use stingers like a critical hit or a certain spell, the players are actually free to go ahead and pipe in their own sound effects as well. Makes the players kind of feel part of the whole sound thing that's going on, right? So if a wizard wants to cast a magic missile or a fireball, he can just do it himself. Pretty cool. And it just layers into the sound that's already going on without much interference at all. Once you get used to it and kind of calibrate your volumes and things, it goes pretty seamless. So that's all the time we have for today. I'm going to get back and see who wins this battle. Thanks again for joining us on Dungeon Masters Inc. Lights, sound, and scents, or smells, whichever way you want to go with it. Make sure you hit like and share, and I'll see you next time.